Hello and welcome to Creating the Life You Love, how to live a spiritual life in a 3D reality. I'm your host, Valeria Bruno, and this is a space where you will find tools for your personal and spiritual development, so you can live a fulfilled life in the magnificence of your being. And this is also a space where we can openly talk about science, spirituality, and even go beyond. My welcome guest today is Elizabeth Wood. Welcome, Elizabeth. It's a real pleasure to have you here.
I'm absolutely, totally thrilled. It's my pleasure.
So before starting talking about your work, I would like to introduce you to the audience, so I will read your bio. Elizabeth is considered an advanced seer, and she works on the cutting edge of galactic and quantum anthropology, trauma healing, and futurism. With her ability to see into and work with dimensions, her theoretical and psychic work has helped people all over the world. She is called Living Library and Oracle, and she has spent her whole life studying anthropological theory, quantum physics, ancient and modern medicine. She has 2 science degrees, including a master in applied anthropology, but more important, her philosophies and practices bridge science and spirituality to support real change in the world. So welcome again, Elizabeth. And if I may, I would like to ask you, were you born a seer or it's something you developed growing up? And if you can give to the audience a definition of seer.
My pleasure. It's a gift that we all have. It's a sense. And my sense of seeing into many different layers of reality and energy was something I was born having. And it was very highly developed. Now, many of us are born with senses already deeply developed. Some people have a very sensitive sense of smell. Some people have an excellent sense of taste. And for me, my sense of being able to perceive beyond the 3D reality is also a great gift that was something I was born with. Now, of course, many sensitive people find that their sense is often so overwhelming that it can feel like a curse. And that was no different in my case. So what I developed was a comfort in my sense, in my abilities. And then I realized that it wasn't a curse. It was a wonderful thing that I could share and use to help people. And so this ability to perceive beyond just the material world is something we're all capable of, just like most of us can smell and taste. And a good example is that many of us are very close to our families. And so many events probably have happened to most people where they had a feeling or someone popped into their mind and they thought, I should call them. And they pick up the phone and that person has just picked up the phone to call them. That's a good example of the sense of being able to see. And in the West, we call it psychic ability, but it's actually a scientific sense. It's not a witchcraft, it's not fortune telling. I don't depend on looking for futures or doing anything like that for people. In fact, I refuse to look at the future. That's impossible to look at. what I can perceive is whatever the source field, and I think we'll probably go into what that means, whatever the source field shows me, nothing more and nothing less. And another word we use is God. So I really heavily depend on God to show me what needs to be seen. Now, this ability to perceive is very intense. It's like having many, many TVs on all at once and all different layers of information all existing all at once. And you can get really lost in that. So what I've had to develop is the ability to function in material real life and have a family and a career and run a business while still being that sensitive to information. And that's all it is. It's just information, many layers from all different places, but that's all it is. It's layers of information. So as I've learned to develop this, I used it first in academia, and I used it to do theoretical work in anthropology. I used my ability to perceive beyond normal thinking and be able to bring that deeper thinking into theory. So I actually focused in on academia, but my theories, usually bringing new theories to science can be a big challenge. People don't want to break out of the norm of what they've been used to. So I actually left academia and studied mysticism, which is spiritual science. That's all mysticism is spiritual science. And so I thought, hey, we could use the scientific method to actually use my senses, my special sense of being able to perceive many layers of reality. I can use the scientific method to look for measurable results in my work. So that's what I've been doing, and I've been documenting this for over a decade now to actually walk through the measurable results. Is it possible for someone on the other side of the world to truly see incredible details about someone's physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual state without me having ever met them or seen them or even talked to them? And that so far has been proven true over a decade of documented work. So this ability is something that we naturally all have, and it's a sense, the sixth sense, that we can develop very easily, actually. And it's something we all use naturally. We just haven't been shown that that was actually occurring. So I'm very glad to reclaim the title, what a seer is, that it is not someone with a crystal ball or some tarot cards. It's something much more than human sense that everyone has, that all humans have. And it's wonderful to be able to share it with a scientific viewpoint.
Yes, I know perfectly because I'm a neuroscientist, but I'm an intuitive. So I can relate very well. So for this, you became a quantum anthropologist. What is quantum anthropology?
I love this branch of science because it's brand new and many people are practicing quantum anthropology, not just me. So it's not a title I gave myself. It's an actual branch of science. For example, if you look this term up, quantum anthropology, there's a book that pops up. There's a couple of professors out of the Czech Republic who wrote a book already about quantum anthropology. Quantum anthropology basically says, how does quantum physics affect human culture? And that's what we study. So studying quantum physics very deeply and looking at the very base level of reality and how it affects human culture and how we can understand that our culture is a quantum creation. It's not just something that humans do in the 3D. You go down into the particle level of reality and beyond, there are big shifts and changes that occur at that level that dramatically affect us, and vice versa, that human beings can actually affect the quantum field. And that's when it gets really exciting. But that is what quantum anthropology is. It's so wonderful. It's a brand new science. And so we shall see more and more people studying.
Yes, so this is like the entanglement that we see in quantum physics is related to that.
Yes. And so, for example, the way I would say that I study it very carefully, someone might come to me and ask a question in a session. Well, I'm using the natural entanglement that has occurred at the source field level, with it, which is a mathematical source field. And that entanglement means that we're all connected. So I'm using that field to perceive layers of information from that person's embodiment, even if they're on the other side of the planet. And that entanglement over and over and over again has been proven to exist because of what I've been able to perceive and others have been able to perceive without any other given information, and be able to nail it exactly as what is real without having had anyone tell you. So let me give you an example.
Yeah.
I did a session for a man who had a business problem, actually. And he had two men who were not getting along, and we went in and we used compassionate communication training to train this businessman to heal his workers' relationship. After that, he asked me, could you look at my body? Now, I'm not on camera with him, I'm on the phone. Could you look at my body? What do you see? Well, that's when I ask, show me this person's body. I'm asking the quantum entanglement, the source field. Show me this person's body. Then I can see it. It comes in as layers of information. And I begin to see that he's got damage to his spine. And so I go and I look at this damage. You can control how close you can get into information or how far. I call it zooming in or zooming out. So I'm zooming in and I see the lower part of his spine is messed up. And then I have this visual, a flash of a motorcycle accident. So I said, did you get into a motorcycle accident and hurt your lower back? That's very specific. And this is someone I just met. I have not seen him. I don't know who he is. I know nothing about him. And he says, oh my goodness, how did you know that? Well, I didn't know anything. The source field knows. He's part of that field. So am I. All I'm doing is asking for the information. It's not that I know anything at all. In fact, I know zero. But when I look and I ask, and this is something people can practice on their own, just ask, and you'll be shown much more than you have ever imagined. Don't try to control it. The source field is available to you because you are in and part of the source field. Really? So this visual comes up of this motorcycle crash, and he says, that's amazing. And I keep looking, and I see he's got a heart problem. Oh, do you have a heart murmur? Yes. How did you know that? It's the source field. And to me, it's not surprising anymore. But for him, it was very profound that someone could actually perceive this without ever having met him and never seeing him, never saw him still, only on the phone on the other side of the country. So this is what's possible. That's just a glimpse of what's possible. But that is a measurable result, that I could see that, and he had not told me, And he was very surprised and amazed, but it was special because now he has a new sense of reality, that this is possible, that we can actually see and perceive and have access to more information than we ever thought.
Yes. And if we are entangled on the planet, we should be also to the universe.
Exactly.
So what is your galactic point of view of anthropology?
That's exactly right. And so if quantum physics means that we're going in to look at things at their very smallest base level, galactic anthropology is also the opposite of that, where we say, okay, we're all these amazing humans, highly evolved, very special. We live on this great planet. It's an unusual planet. It's a very special planet in a solar system that's part of a galaxy, and there's trillions of other planets, and then there's more galaxies. There's trillions and trillions, endless amount of galaxies with endless planets. What is our position really? Are we just humans on a planet? I don't think so.
Me neither.
I believe I believe and what science is showing every day is that we are beings on a planet, part of a great network of intelligence, and that this galaxy is full of intelligence. It's full of life. And this has been suppressed knowledge. But because people can perceive beyond just themselves and push into the source field, which is creating and part of all things in the universe, the whole universe is entangled, then that means we have access to intelligence far beyond just this planet. And many, many, many people have proven that's true over eons. And so with that, I also keep my eye on the sky, and I like to understand and envision how human beings affect the galactic scenario that we are in, how they are also affected by the galaxy too. And we certainly are. This is not a closed system. This is an intimate system that is a universe, and it's all one, and it is brought into oneness through our observation. So the observer affects this reality very deeply, and we are only just now beginning to understand how important our consciousness is in this great web of consciousness. So I like to also bring in many examples of the 8,000 plus people that I have had the honor of serving. Most of these people, and that's a huge sample for science. 8,000 people is a good sample all over the world, all from different cultures, different backgrounds. And all these people have had immense, amazing experiences with beings that are not human. Almost all of them have. That is astounding. And that is quantum anthropology, to welcome in the narrative of the galactic into human understanding and culture, how it affects us, but even more importantly, how we affect the galaxy, because we do. We're not small little useless beings at all. We're deeply, deeply talented and amazing creatures that deserve to be able to understand their place in our galaxy.
Yeah, I had an experience when I was 15. I was sleeping at night and on the wall there was a lot of turbulence outside, like a thunderstorm without noise. And then on the wall of my bedroom, there was a projection of the 13th hexagram of the I Ching, Universal Brotherhood. So I realized that I was not just a human living in the planet, but I was a brother to someone else. And then I even started remembering my galactic origins. So not just the lifetimes I've been here on the planet, if
Exactly.
everyone accept reincarnation, but also my galactic origins. And also I'm a parallel, so also beyond this dimension of reality. So this is wonderful. Actually, I think it should be something really taught to young
I
people.
agree. I agree, and I strive very much to make this information available without it being scary,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
we're trained, right? We're trained to be afraid of
yes,
the other, and so we've created a xenophobia in our cultures that keep us separate, but it doesn't keep us separate because we have interactions. I myself also have had very intimate interactions throughout my whole life with many beings, both beings that are physical and non-physical. And I've rarely ever had problems or pain or issues. I've only ever been able to truly learn much, much more about myself and where we're at in this reality. Now, that doesn't mean everybody has a nice agenda,
of course.
but being able to know what's our human agenda and how does it fit with all of these other agendas? Can we learn from each other? This is the future. This is our future. We're going to need to be able to dialogue and connect with our whole bodies and with our experiences without shunning what's possible. We need to open dialogue with our galactic friends and our interdimensional friends. And this dialogue will build up exponentially human capability and technology
Yeah.
beyond our imagination, if we're willing. And in fact, I would argue that historically, human technology, we think that we just created a lot of these things. That's not at all what the inventors themselves have said. Nikola Tesla himself said that he was given the plans of many of his inventions, that these were given to him from the spiritual planes. He was talking about other dimensional planes that we physically have access to, all of us do. This isn't something special about one person and then another person doesn't have it. That's not what's happening. But most of the inventors in the world, even Einstein, have
Yes.
very clearly talked about being able to perceive and receive immense information that then led them to finalize big major shifts in science and technology. So we know this is true from Russians,
Sorry.
from we
My
know it's
cat.
true from hi Katie. We know it's true from the German history. We know it's true from American history. Probably almost every culture has had historical events where great thinkers and open-minded creators were given information. I mean, if you look even in different ancient texts, it
Yeah.
was always some other being who showed up and said, "Here, here's
Yeah.
some extra
We
support."
had Leonardo da Vinci, that was
Exactly.
an inventor, of course, and he was writing that he was opening the future. He was like
Exactly.
opening the reality, looking,
Yes.
and then writing and drawing what he was receiving. So yes, it has always been this way, of
It
course.
has. And I love Leonardo. He's one of my favorite people in history. And I got to see the Codex in person.
Yeah.
And when I was looking at the Codex, I could feel it. I could sense he could see much more than what he was experiencing in his 3D life. He could see so much more. And his drawings are proof because they're truly magical and they are spot on. They're spot on.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing that that is possible. But this is what's real. This is for everyone. This is for everyone. This isn't just for you and I. This is for all of us. All of humanity is capable of this. And here's what's important about that. And all the similarity between the three men we just mentioned, Nikola Tesla, Einstein, and Leonardo, is that they were able to understand the vital importance of the imagination.
Yes.
The imagination is not made up. Imagination literally means opening to the images, opening to images that are available. You use your imagination to access this information. The imagination is the doorway to accessing the quantum field. That's all you need. Everyone is capable of accessing that information. All they have to do is imagine and then allow, and not try to control what is given to them or be afraid of it. I think most people are very afraid. Naturally, they've been taught to be afraid of these things. And eventually they're going to find out what I've found out, which is that it's all frequency, all of it. All of reality is frequency. Nothing can hurt you. Nothing can hurt your immortal soul. Nothing. You can only learn. Yeah, it might be painful. Worst case scenario, you learn something and you lose your body, but you don't lose your consciousness.
Yeah.
This is a fact. The immortal soul is real and it is immortal. And this is what is possible. So if we are willing to trust that God has our back and that we're here to learn and open up what's possible in consciousness, and that nothing can truly harm our soul, we can only ever learn from it, then we're going to be able to do this easily and bring our capabilities to the forefront of development finally in science.
Yeah, and this is very comforting too, because sometimes we say, I'm not visual, I cannot see, but I can imagine. So we put a sort of limit because we think that imagining is not reality. And so it's an encouragement for all the people who think they're not visual, like I did for almost 40 years. Your imagination is the key, is the opening of this other reality. So I agree perfectly. Of course, from what you're saying, we should open to these realities, but without forgetting Gaia. I'm so much in love with the planet. I had a hard time when I was a kid to accepting it because I was not recognizing it. I forgot that I lived here before, but especially with these new frequencies, with this new energy, the connection with Gaia, I think it's profound and she is helping us a lot. What do you think about it?
Oh, I agree. And here's what's important. I was brought up to, my father, among many things that he was also a geologist.
Oh.
And so he studied rocks. And I was brought up to believe that all of these things were inanimate and that they did not have consciousness. Now we know, and there is a theory in science, which I believe is true, that everything is conscious. The whole of reality is consciousness. That's this universe. Every particle has consciousness, and there's kinds of consciousness, but it's all consciousness. What we do know also about the earth And Gaia is the term for her consciousness. So the earth is not just an inanimate rock flying through space at all. It has a life. It lives, it has cycles, it breathes, it has personality, it has things that we would normally only attribute to humans. And this is not a false sense of consciousness. Here's how we know that the earth is conscious. If you go and you study carefully some of the ancient hunter-gatherers, some of whom are still around, like the Kungsan of Central Africa, they have that lovely clicking language. This particular tribe, among many tribes, such as tribes in the Amazon, two very different groups of people who've never met, one in Africa, a bunch in the Amazon, they all have the same belief system. And normally that should be impossible because their environments are so different. In anthropology, your environment affects your culture. What has occurred is that both of these groups of people, and that's just two examples, there's many more. The natives of Australia are another group. These groups, these tribes have understood that they're in a merged relationship with the planet itself. So when they consume the food from the planet and they hunt, they say this in their actual words, their own words. We can perceive with our imagination what the earth is telling us. We can speak to the plants. You ask us, how do we know a plant is poisonous or edible? We ask it. We talk to it. It will tell us if it's poisonous or edible. When we are hunting an animal, we become the animal. That's how we know where it is. We don't need the tracks. We know where the animal is because we are the animal. We know how to preserve the forest because the forest has told us how to preserve it. They are, like the original humans, capable of and aware that this planet is conscious. We don't have to look very far to find out that this is true. How do we know truly that it's completely true? These folks prove it every day. They actually go on the hunts and have shown anthropologists over and over and over again what is possible. What seems completely impossible is totally possible because these folks are aware, these cultures are aware that the planet is conscious, that she is their mother, and that they can depend on her. And so this is something that is inherently part of our knowing. In modern culture, we've separated ourselves from nature. We've told ourselves that we should be in charge of nature, that we're going to subjugate nature. But what was really true and what we're going to slowly but surely get back to is that we are not separate from nature, and that this earth requires us to make big changes. That's why things seem like they look real crazy with climate, with the earth in general. She herself has made changes in her consciousness that are causing us as modern Western civilized people to make big, massive realizing changes in our systems, because we cannot live like this anymore. We have been destroying the planet. Yeah. And she knows that we've got a chance to make a change. And here's what's amazing. The planet is so conscious that she could have kicked us off a long time ago, but she didn't. She never has. She loves us. God loves us. The earth loves us. And we ought to love ourselves as part of Gaia's life, and that she wants us here. She wants us to observe her beauty. She does. This is not, it is not real that humans are a false set of beings or a parasite. We are not. That is a lie. That is a lie. We are part of nature, and she, the earth herself, wants us here very much. We ought to take that to heart and consider that and allow that to help us create new love for each other and the earth.
Yeah, I know. And also, if I do not ground every day into the core of Gaia, I cannot operate very well. So I really feel that I need her energy to function as a being with the capital B. So not just as a human being, as we consider ourselves. And what I would like to ask you is, what is the role of this divine vessel that we call body?
It's my favorite thing to talk about. I love the earth like you, but I'm really here hanging out, staying here because I love humans so much. I love the earth, I do, but I really love humans. That's my greatest love. My true love is the human body and the human experience. So these bodies are quite spectacular. And what's special about them is the DNA.
Yeah.
And the DNA is a technology. It was created long, long ago, many, many eons, many, perhaps billions of years ago. And it was created for two reasons. The first reason is for memory. DNA has memory, and we know this is called epigenetic memory. And beings before, conscious beings before physical bodies like this, they could only really traverse consciousness one dimension at a time. And then if they moved on in consciousness or they went home to heavenly source, none of that memory was stored anywhere. It was not stored so that other people could learn from it. So there was a great desire to retain the memory, not just the good stuff, but all of it, the bad stuff that you learn from too. So DNA was created as a library, and our DNA is no different. My DNA and your DNA has all the memories of our ancestors available in it. And that's oftentimes when people work on their trauma, they get to a point where they're like, I've healed my trauma, but there's still trauma in my body. And they feel like, how long is this going to take? It's simply that they've finally come upon their ancestors' trauma. And now it's time for them to begin to shift those trash bags out of the way. But the second reason why DNA was created was to be able to have access to all dimensions of reality all at once, not just go one by one from the 3D to the dream world to the dimension of all possibilities or whatever, but to do it all at once and to bring the body with us into a multidimensional experience. So this is what's so fantastic about DNA, is what is possible has barely been touched by humanity yet. And then the second thing that I'd like to point out is that the human body is very special in that there are many, many other beings who have had bodies like these. So we would call them basically humanoid bodies, beings that have two legs, that walk on two legs, walk upright. They have two arms, and they have three brains. Turns out we have three brains. Everybody thinks you have one brain, and that's not true. You have three, literally. There's neurons here, but there's also neurons in the heart and neurons in the gut.
Yeah,
So we have
maybe,
3 actual, yeah,
maybe
and they
we
function.
start knowing about the gut, but the heart, it's a little
Yeah,
unknown still in the
exactly.
neuroscience field. So please tell us. Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting there. And so what was shown to me was really kind of cool. One day I was meditating, and a lot of people, some people know about the chakras, some people don't. But the chakras are just one way of looking at the body. There's lots of different ways to look at the body. And of course, we have more than one body, we have a whole bunch. We have an emotional body and a mental body, the spiritual body, which would be the soul. We have a physical body, and lots of subtle layers that create our experience. So I was sitting in my backyard and I watched a little ant walk past me, and I realized, wow, I'm not really that much different than this ant. He has a head, I have a head. He has a heart, I have a heart. And he has a gut, and I have a gut. And then it dawned on me, oh my goodness, all 3 of these are actually brains. They work together. And there are more signals being sent from the gut and the heart to the brain than the brain gives back to the heart and gut. So, what signals are they sending? Well, the heart barely regenerates. So, the heart stays with you your whole life. The heart is the seat of perfect body memory. He or she remembers your life in great detail without magnifying or erasing memory. The brain magnifies things and erases stuff. That's not what the brain is good at. Memory is not what the brain is good at. The brain is really good at logic, pros and cons, and transactions. That's what the brain is good at. Then the heart, well, the heart remembers your experiences without prejudice. And that heart field is very big. It's a measurable electromagnetic field around the body. The heart is talking to all of your cells, telling it who you are all the time, because there's 100 million brand new cells every day that need to be told, who is this soul who's running the body? Then we have the gut. You're not talking to your intestines, you're talking to the bacteria that create your body. Your body's mostly bacteria.
Yes.
And that bacteria is smart. It's super smart and it's really ancient and it knows Gaia. Those bacteria know the earth. So when the gut perceives that there's a danger to your survival, that's when we have a bad gut feeling about something. I've walked into places and I'm like, my gut says no, I got to get out of here. I don't even know why. With my brain, I don't know why, but my gut says I got to get out of here. And every single time it was always better that I chose what my gut had said, because it would have created a problem with my survival. So the gut is helping you survive in harmony with Earth, not survive with crazy cultures that are corrupted, but survive in harmony with Earth. Now, we've been cut off. We've been cut off from our other 2 brains, and there's a simple, easy way to get reconnected. Just talk to them. Ask your heart questions. Ask your gut the same questions. They don't always agree. We know the heart will say one thing, the mind will say another, and the gut will say something else. It can be kind of confusing. But we also know how good it feels when the whole body says yes. And the mind and the heart and the gut, they all say yes. And you feel free and you know you can move forward. So you can trust that your body and your DNA and your ancestors' experiences and your ability to connect to all of reality and all the layers available have been planned this way. It was arranged this way so that we could learn the most in the shortest period of time. And that's why the human body is so precious and miraculous.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's unbelievable how we really function and not what is just written in the physiology books. So knowing how we function. Elizabeth, could we provide something experiential to the audience?
Mm-hmm. I'd like to use your heart. I want you to use your heart with me right now. So we have had a lot of trauma this year. All of us, all over the world, we've had a lot of trauma this year. 2020 has been a tough year for everyone. There's been a lot of fear and loss. And so a lot of that fear is deeply written in our genetics. Many of our ancestors faced things like the plague. And that memory is getting tossed up. They faced famine, they faced poverty. Those traumas are written in our body. So even if you feel like you've been able to get by pretty well this year, you're still going to notice that your body especially is tense, at least, if not sometimes going into a panic, even if your mind seems fine. That's the genetic memories getting tossed up for us to examine. So I want to show you a way to move genetic memories to really be able to merge with those lessons, because we want the lessons. That way we don't attract more lessons.
Yeah.
We want the lessons. We don't want the heaviness of that baggage, because it's trauma. And trauma in the body acts as consciousness under pressure. So when we feel under pressure, like this year, all of us have felt under pressure to adapt, to make changes, to try to please everyone around us, to get by, to work with our governments. It's tough. So there's trauma there. I want to show people an easy way to move through this trauma. So I'd like everyone to feel your heart, touch your heart. Just say hello to your heart and say that you love your heart. Hello, dear heart, I love you. I'm so glad you're here and you've got my back. And so let's talk to our heart, and we're going to move some of this trauma out of the way. But because of physics, we can't just move something out of the way without replacing it. We've got to replace stuff. So we're going to replace it too. So I'd like you to pull up some of the frustration, the grief, the confusion, and the difficulties you've faced this year. Just allow it in your heart. It doesn't feel good right now, but that's because it's a frequency that we're resisting. It doesn't feel good because we're resisting the frequency. So we're just going to notice how it feels right now. Maybe your throat tenses up. Maybe your shoulders tense up. Maybe your head feels pressure. Maybe the heart feels heavy. The body feels heavy. That heaviness, that pressure, that's trauma. So we're going to say, dear heart, and you can say it out loud if you like with me, or say it in your mind. Dear heart, please lift all of these difficult feelings and traumas. Please allow me to learn from them, lift them from my whole body and my field now. And take a deep breath. And now you'll feel a layer move. It doesn't mean it's all gone. It means the first layer is moved, but we want to replace this with light. So we're going to say, dear heart, fill my whole body, fill my whole field with love and connection to Source now. And a big deep breath. Good. And so why would we do this? You are the soul in charge. The body and all of your cells and your DNA want your direction. They want you to tell them what to do with this trauma. And so when we do so, you'll begin, if you didn't feel anything the first time, that's normal. Trauma is dense. If you keep doing this practice and you see how fast it was, do it regularly. Notice that it will become more and more sensitive. In the measurable results that I have examined over the past several years, with many thousands of people using this concept of the heart being intelligent and being able to talk to the body, using this concept, I have noticed several things. One, the more you use this, the more you'll feel it. At this point now, I feel all my cells doing what I've asked them to do. The second thing is, the more you do this, the more light you feel, the more expansive you feel. You begin to perceive light around you more and more. Why? Well, all that trauma is really dense and it creates a distortion. And as you're commanding it and replacing it with light, that distortion lifts and you begin to see things more clearly. You begin to perceive them more clearly here, but you begin to feel them and in your gut know them. The other thing that happens is that people will begin to be able to notice when trauma is coming in. Maybe somebody says something mean, right? And bam, it hits you and it hurts. But when you're doing this kind of work, it doesn't have anything dense to hit. You're becoming less and less dense and more formless. So the mean comment, instead of it hitting you, it moves through you. Yeah. And you'll notice it and you're like, oh, hi, pain and hurt and anger. I know you. I've learned from you. You're my friend. I've learned from you. You're welcome here. There's nothing here for you to hang on to. And it just moves through. So this is the long-term outcome of being the soul in charge, being able to name what needs to be shifted and replacing it. And this practice is so simple. It's in the now. You're telling the body what to do, what needs to be moved out of the emotional body, which is intimately connected to your physical body. And then you're saying when you need it done, because the body's quite intelligent, but it does need you to tell it when you want it done. So that's why we say now. Yeah. Then you take a deep breath, which tells the vagus nerve and your subconscious that this new change is safe. Because when you take that deep breath, it's very purposeful. And it calms your nervous system, and then the shift occurs. So with lots of practice trying to heal myself, I figured out that's what you got to do. You got to tell it what you want it done, and then the breath is like your enter button to make it happen. But this is that simple. Start talking to your body, talk to your heart about what you need, ask it to be so, tell it when, breathe, keep moving through this, keep practicing, and you'll begin to feel more and more, and the distortion of trauma begins to be removed.
Yeah, if I can share my experience, even if it was very brief, but at the beginning I could really feel my hand on my body and I felt a sort of wall. Then when we were letting go the trauma, I saw like a sort of smoke coming out. And then what was really surprising me, I felt like my hand was going inside my body, like if my body was becoming soft.
Ah, yeah, formless.
Feeling of softness. So I was not feeling anymore my hand on my body, but in my body. And it was really surprising because it was a sensation I've never felt before. So thank you so much, really, really.
I'm so glad. Yeah, I would say that's formlessness. And
Yeah,
that's what we're shooting for. We're capable of being incredibly formless. And that's how it will feel. You feel, this is what we would say, a multidimensional experience.
yeah,
You'll feel both very small and very big all at the same time. At the same time. And that's the dimensions.
yeah.
That's what's available. And there's so much more from there. But it feels
Yeah.
so good to feel
No, it
lighter, to
feels
feel more
really
free.
good, really, really good. And especially the knowing that we should always put now, it's particularly important
Yes.
because we don't want to send intentions somewhere we want to be done now.
Yeah, because the
So,
body will decide when, and it could be
yes,
the wrong
yes,
time.
or we will could wait forever. Yeah. So, Elizabeth, besides being a wonderful teacher, and I really admire you, I know that you are also very generous. I know that you have a free gift for the audience. Could you tell me what it's about and share with the audience, please?
I shall. It's actually 5 free gifts.
Oh, wow. Not surprised.
Because everybody's a little different, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Some people respond really well to music, for example. So I've put a free song for people to download. It's 11 minutes. I'm a musician, and I find that I can communicate some of my hopes and my dreams and my healing in music better than words sometimes. So I made a song called Horizons that is uplifting and joyful. It's 11 minutes long, and you can download that for free. I also put some people like guided meditations. So I put a guided meditation up called Galactic Forgiveness because, like I said, some of the agendas of our brethren in the galaxy aren't so nice to us. We need to forgive them, and forgiveness can free us. So I walk you through forgiveness from the inside all the way out to the edge of the universe. And behind it is music that I wrote to guide you through it as well. So there's music without words, there's guided meditation with music. The third thing is a free ebook called Healing the Three Minds, the Brain, the Heart, and the Gut. And it's a short 50-page ebook about my journey into healing post-traumatic stress disorder, which I had a very extreme version of, I was able to heal myself. And this book is about exactly how I did that. And I talk about how you heal your brain from beating yourself up all the time and the negative programming and the limits we put on ourselves and much more. But I also talk about the heart, how that can be used for healing. We talk about the heart commands like we just did now, and the gut, and my viewpoint on what it's going to take for us to get our guts back into shape, into good shape, just like the Kung San of Central Africa or the peoples in the Amazon. Their gut biomes are amazing.
Yeah.
And ours are just really looking pretty sad. So we need to get them back into shape. Now, that's the third gift. If you sign up for my newsletter, you'll also receive a gift on how to open up your imagination and begin to work with what you're truly capable of, to show you that you can see much more than you ever thought, and to show that it's not just something crazy at all. It's very, very straightforward and easy, and that you've probably been doing it a lot more than you thought. And so you get that free class. And then the second thing is every month, at the end of the month, usually on the last Sunday of the month, I meet with everybody, hundreds of people, and we do a big live talk, just checking in with what's happening in the world. And I take it from our personal experience. And this is something I'm good at, taking the personal and connecting it to the collective, and then to the globe and to the galaxy and beyond. So we take it from the personal to the universal, because nothing is ever personal. Your life is a microcosm of the universe. And so we can prove it every time we take it from the personal, bringing it out to what's possible and what's happening to everyone else. So you feel connected and not alone. And that can be really special. I also answer questions on that call. I call it my circle community call. And at the end, we do something really cool. We build a pillar of light. We all get together and we actually find a place on the planet that needs some extra support. Last time it was Italy.
Yes, I'm smiling for this. We built this wonderful pillar of light in Venice. And I can tell from as I say, I'm not so visual, but the light that was coming from the top of it was interdimensional, if I may say it. It was huge, amazing. Really huge. It was wonderful. All the circle was holding such an energy that was really amazing, really.
These pillars are big, beautiful, living prayers. They transmit our intentions and our prayers. And anyone can take part. It's not a necessarily religious event. You can be as religious as you like and take part.
Yes.
What it is exactly what Jesus said, for example, when two or more are gathered. So when we come together from all over the world and we imagine Venice, and we were above St. Mark's Square, we imagined Venice together and we said, what deep in my gut do I want to share with the world? What deep in my heart do I want to share with the world? What deep in my mind and my experiences do I want to share with the world? Peace and love, joy, hope, equanimity, wonderful, beautiful energies of light. And we get together and we create this living prayer, and it stays there. It stays there and it transmits through the source field, through that quantum field, this gift, the gift of light and prayer to all the people, to the earth and beyond. And every time we do it, it's different because it's all different people. And there's more and more people that get involved. Every time we do it, it's different, it's profound, it's miraculous. And we've had some amazing events happen after we've built pillars of light that were really astounding. So it can be really just a special time. And those are my special gifts that I want to give to people. I want to make sure everybody's got something.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Really, thank you. It has been a real pleasure to be with you. I learned a lot, and for sure also the audience. And thank you for your generosity. You are a blessing. Thank you.
And thank you, my friends. Thank you for opening your true, beautiful heart to the world, your precious, precious heart, and your experience, your wisdom, your both scientific wisdom and your spiritual wisdom. It's all opening up what is possible now for all of us. There are no boundaries to what we can create, a brand new, beautiful, holy, precious earth, a relationship with God and each other through this open, nourishing love that you give. Thank you so much, Valeria, for that.
Thank you so much to you. I think we are really connected, every one of us. So it's not me, it's not you. We are doing it together. We are doing for ourselves. We are doing for the planet. We are clearing for the planet. I do myself. I have this mission too, to clear for the planet. Sometimes it's difficult, sometimes no. So yes, I feel we are really reaching this unity consciousness that has been just something to talk about, and now it's becoming real. So yes.
It is real, yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So thank you to the audience, and we will see in the next interview. Bye-bye.